Hi, my name is Susanna Roundtree, and I am an accepted character animation student at Calarts, and I'm going to show you the sketchbook that I was accepted with. I'm sorry it's all slow motion like this. It's just the way that I filmed it. I apologize. I thought my character design in these books was going to be cats, so the first thing I did was draw a bunch of cat skeletons and try to figure out how the skeleton would look under a lot of very normal cat poses. And then I did a lot of drawings of my actual cats. I ended up not doing any character design at all based on the cats that I have. I ended up doing a little character design of people and a little of hippos, but as you'll notice going through this book, character design is probably one of my weakest areas. So I feel very, very lucky to have gotten into Calarts with something that needs a lot of work. But I'm just, it is what it is. I tried. I tried. I tried to get into Calarts quite a few times, and this book is specifically, I'm really proud of this book because I really sort of started exploring things that I think are a lot more relevant to working in animation than I had been exploring beforehand, when I was just kind of doing what I thought it was to be doing animation drawings. But at the same time, I also really kind of doubled down on exploring styles and topics that interested me, as opposed to doing things which I felt like I should be learning how to do. And I think that really kind of helped make me have a stronger sketchbook, because I was drawing things that that I cared about and I was passionate about and that I was inspired about. When I couldn't think of what to draw, I did something like what I did on this page, which was I pulled a book from my bookshelves of an artist that inspired me and did a bunch of layouts inspired by their layouts, and labeled it very clearly so that it was clear that these were not something that I just completely made up. These are exercises based on other people's work. And you have to do that if you're doing something that's like so heavily inspired by someone else that it's almost a knockoff. Like that page we just passed and the page that we're looking at right now, the left-hand page, were all heavily inspired by an artist-writer duo that I really love called Calarts. And I think there's some pages later on that were also inspired by Calarts. There's a whole page of layouts of paintings from Lockman Museum, but and there's a couple things on this page that were inspired by panels from Nimona and Samurai Jack. But it's fine to play with ideas that are created by other people. It's not. You're trying to reverse engineer what makes them great and learn how to do it yourself, just as long as you're clearly labeling it and not claiming it as your own work. The cat wearing a sweater was one of my favorite drawings of the whole book, and I think it's nice to have a couple of pages that are almost empty like that. Most of my portfolio was really super heavy on life drawing. As you can see, I have some issues with drawing faces, but I'm not terrible at capturing gesture with life drawing. Another thing that I think really made the difference with this sketchbook this year is that I really kind of had decided what I wanted to go into in animation. Every other time I applied, I just kind of had this nebulous idea that I wanted to work in animation. But this time, I came in very clearly feeling like I want to work in story. I want to do story development. I think I'm very strong there. So my application essay was tailored around that, and I spent a lot of space in this book writing down and doodling story ideas and sort of doing story panels and like small beat boards and exploring layouts in terms of what kind of storytelling strength that they had. On this page I had a little sort of Red Riding Hood idea that I had of what would you do if Red Riding Hood was a little old lady instead of a little girl, and how interesting that could be, and I blew up a couple of the panels and tried to make them with color a little bit to see how they would feel. to be honest, I'm kind of wondering if maybe that has the potential to do something for my first year film. We'll see. But uh, one of my other big inspirations is Erte, who is a 1920s fashion illustrator who has a really interesting way of making line and fabric. So sometimes when you see drawings of fabric in here, they're inspired by Erte stuff. When I got to the end of making this book, there was a lot of things that I did that were just how can I fill up 2 pages quickly, and this was one of them. But I did have a lot of fun drawing the abs on the bull, the Minotaur Centaur hybrid thing. So, like I said, I'm not really good at like character design is still one of my weakest points, and I've got to do a lot of work to catch up to some of the other people in the accepted classes. And it's okay to have weaknesses if you're willing to work on them, and you can show that you want to try, and that you can demonstrate that you know have a lot of work, like you're aware of how much work you have to do and that you're going to do it. But this was one of my sort of favorite character designs. I kind of had this idea about a princess who had a guardian monster that was very straight-faced but would do all this fun stuff with her, like knit and jump rope and be, it was a fun idea. And this is a page that I did to explore what kind of shapes the princess and her monster should have, like what would be good with that. But yeah, I mean, I come from a comic book world, so a lot of my my drawings of humans are sort of entrenched in a lot of sort of comic book shortcuts for things which I really need to unlearn and learn how to do better. And I've been spending, like, the last year I spent doing a lot of time just learning how to draw from observation and spending, there were weeks from the summer moving forward where I would go to a drawing class on Tuesday, I would go into a drawing class on Wednesday, I would go to a drawing class on Monday. I could never find anything in my area for Thursday, but I'd go to a drawing class on Friday. And I wouldn't go to drawing classes on Saturday, but I would go to the zoo and draw animals, or I would go to a museum and draw the paintings or draw the architecture. I really like drawing architecture. I like setting up scenes with that kind of stuff. And there's not much of this in this sketchbook, but this is, I made more than one sketchbook last year. This sketchbook I started working on in October, and somehow managed to fill it. And some of the other people from my class apparently did their sketchbooks in the last 2 weeks of the year, which blows me away. I'm really excited to be going in to work with so many other, like, super talented, really interesting people, and I'm just really excited about this opportunity. I always wanted to go into, these are the drawings of painting layouts from a museum that I was telling you about before. I always wanted to go into animation because I feel like a lot can be done with it. I have always wanted to, with my career, make a difference to kids who need a difference to be made to them. Like I said, I can't come from a comic book world. I developed a graphic novel series with Archie Comics that was intending to speak to kids that were not necessarily, like, girls who were not necessarily identifying with what is supposed to be a normal girl gender identity. And that sort of speaks to the kind of thing that I want to do. I want to create media that makes kids who are sort of in between the cracks a little bit, or not, maybe they don't have the best home life, maybe they don't have access to the best education, but almost every kid in the world can get to a TV set. And it's sort of that mentality that Sesame Street was originally developed with. I want to make cartoons that really reach out to kids that need a little bit extra. How to have social skills that maybe they don't understand because they've been raised in isolation, or give them examples of their own identity looking back to them in media, which is so important and has just been, for so many different people, a big deal for a really long time. These are drawings that I did of an animation of a hippo putting on a jacket. They were kind of fun. I should post that. I should post a GIF of that hippo somewhere. But again, you're also kind of seeing here that it's interesting. My sketchbook, I think, compared to some people's, doesn't really explode with color. which I feel like is another weakness of it. Like, there's some things that I do that are color, and some things that I don't, but this is, I did a lot of other things which I felt really identified me as an artist and I felt that I enjoyed. I always wanted to add more hands to this page. I just ran out of time, but I wanted this to be like 50 hands on this page overlapping and intertwining. And I'm glad that the hands that I drew look good. And apparently it did it, but this was one of the pages when I sent the sketchbook off that I felt like, oh, I just wish I could have had a little more time. The layouts on this page are also inspired by Carrasco, like the few earlier pages that I was talking about. This was fun. I went to a figure drawing session that was Moulin Rouge themed, and the woman who was a model just had this very, very interesting body. She was just built, she was very beautiful, and I think no one who saw her in the street would think she was anything but beautiful. But her proportions, I just thought were very were unusual, so I come home and try to do a couple of character designs based on that. The sketchbook the sketchbook page I kind of love. I got a couple of beats into drawing the layouts and then realized I'd accidentally drawn a vagina tree, and realized that and there was this big joke in my house for a while that now I'm officially going to art school because I accidentally drew vaginas on things. The rest of this book is mostly very short life drawing poses. Or oh, I really love that drawing. I mean, there's problems with it, but it was a drawing. I did it while we were watching a movie, and for Inktober, and I really I enjoyed drawing it. I'm happy with the end product, and it doesn't happen a whole lot. Man, I need to work on my faces. My faces are too big. These are life drawings from a drawing session of a woman who dressed up like a snow queen and brought a bow and arrow in. There's always things that you can do. If you can't get to figure drawing classes, you can go to any place on location and just draw people walking around you. Like, a library is a great place to get people who are holding still for a little bit. And you can ask your parents, you can ask your friends to sit for you. There's always a workaround. There's always something that you can do. And it's always better to draw from someone that's live and breathing than it is to draw from a photograph. So I found life drawing to be super, super useful. So this is my sketchbook. I hope you guys liked it. And yeah, I'm really, really excited to be going to Calarts. It's something I worked for a long time, and it's here, and I can't wait to go. Yay!